morning and welcome to our first weekly press conference with head coach Terry Bowden. This week in the season opener, Akron travels to number 6, Penn State. Kickoff this Saturday at noon on ABC. It is a nationally televised game. Coach, you want to start with an opening statement?
Yeah, it's just good to see all the usual suspects here. And starting off the season, it's always exciting when you finally get to game week. This year maybe a little more so because we've had a longer preseason than normal because the new NCAA rules gave us 5 more days, and so. But we're excited about our opener. We're excited about getting out on the field, and then what could be more exciting for our team than to be playing a top 10 team, a 6th-ranked Penn State at a venue that will hold over 100,000 people with national TV with the ABC. What a great opportunity for our players. It's a great challenge, obviously. It's not one that we're not comfortable with, because we've been this every year. We have somebody. It's not always our first game, but it's our first or second game usually, and we play a team very much like this. But this is not the Penn State team we played 3 years ago when James Franklin's first year there, as he was beginning to build that program. He's got it built now, and the fact that they're the reigning Big Ten champions and Rose Bowl participants is even more accolades for them. But again, as a coach, having played in a lot of venues like this, it's exciting for our players to be able to have that opportunity to play a team as good as Penn State.
George, you want to go first? I'll do it. Coach, when we saw you at Canton, you still have that excitement, the glint in your eye and all that. Can you walk us through a little bit through first of all, with the offense, how has Thomas looked throwing, and also how has Warren that knee responded well, and my main concern, the wide receivers. How has besides Austin Wolf, how has everybody looked in the fall camp?
Well, I think Tommy Woodson, his shoulders fully recovered, and we felt like that if it did, he would hold on to that position, and he has. I don't think I've quite got the backup 3 penciled in quite how we want to do it, because we've got 3 good players. But I would think it's probably safe to say at this point it's kind of a Cato and Kelly right now, and that could change, because I think we're going to redshirt our freshmen, and we've got 3 other guys that can play very, very well, and they completely. But if you had to say what that'd be your rotation now, kind of slash backup, so that's kind of that. So that kind of fell into place like we thought it would if Tommy came through. They worked out his rehabilitation was planned on about a 9-month period, and they did a good job of planning for that, and he's throwing the ball very, very well. And the other guys have done a great job. He's just got 5 years of experience doing with our offense, with Coach Milwee, and he just knows what to do better than the other guys. And that's the biggest difference. They can really spin the football and throw it well, but I think it's hard to pass that up. Warren Ball, of course, has been healing very nicely. He was healed enough to go. We didn't use him too much in the spring, but he's 100%. He had a broken fibula back during the season, and it healed up very nicely. So he's 100%. He's been running very, very well, and I'm anxious for him to be healthy for a year. He's worked so hard to get to transfer here for his last year, then get broken leg and come back for a 6th year. Voted as a team captain along with Zach Geiser and AJ Coney. For someone that hadn't been with us but about 2 years, year and a half, that's an awful big credit to him, and we hope them. And then receivers, I think that's where, when you lose 2 big guns in JoJo Natson and Jerome Lane, who's going to step in? Well, you got Wolf, you got AJ Coney, who started a lot of football games, and you really got Franchon Bickley, who started as a true free. He caught 3 passes against Penn State several years ago, but he's a senior and brings some experience there. As well as Quadarius Smith and then Trayvon Chapman, who is our starter in our 4 wideout package, and we'll rotate with Coney in our 3 wideout package, along with Kevin Gladney, Nate Stewart, freshman Trey. 2 freshmen are in the travel squad rotation: Andre Williams out of Orlando, and Burkhart out of Coventry. So those guys there. So I don't know the answer. I feel Wolf is the one guy that's been there so often. He's battle tested. I think Coney's battle tested. Really, Fresh is more battle tested than even Smith because he had a lot of play as a freshman. But Teron Chapman has been in a lot of big games too. It's just at a different position. So did I just leave somebody out?
No, I'm just wondering where Wolf is on the depth chart.
Wolf, he's a starting.
So he has,
I might be
just hit
blind.
me that that's not.
Did we?
We took him off this week.
Did we take him off this week? I usually don't talk about injuries. You took him off this week. I usually don't discuss injuries without that. So I wish. Well, I guess we've discussed it now. Yeah. So he's got a little bruise. He'll be fine. I wasn't ready to discuss my injuries, but I am now. So but Wolf has got it. But he'll be fine. But he'll miss this game.
Has Trevon adapted well, being from the quarterback to the receiver position?
Yeah. Trevon has done a real good job. In the spring, you could see it. He did naturally a good job of making that transition. But he's a good athlete. I think a lot of people thought of him as a very athletic player that would play different positions, and so he just fit right in. And so it's been a nice move for him. And he's 210 pounds. He's got good speed, good size, and strength. And so it's been a nice move for him. We're looking forward to him having a good season.
Has he stayed in that ascendant track from spring through the fall, or has he leveled off at all?
I think he continues to get better because you got to remember, although he's played a lot of college football, he's only got one spring of wide receiver teaching. So every day he gets better. You take Wolf, for example, who's been there 4 years and started several. He's playing as good as he can play. With a guy like Trayvon, every time he learns how to run a route, every day he learns a little better how to run this route, how to run that route. Every day he gets better at being a wide receiver, just because that's not something you learn all the little nuances, the little tricks of the trade that guys that have played out there all their life would know. Now, as far as assignments and how routes need to be run, a quarterback understands how a route needs to be run because he knows what he expects a receiver to do. So he has a lot more insight into that position, having played quarterback, because he's thrown a million routes to these guys, and he knows how he wanted the routes run. So he has to go out there and just really imitate what he wanted other receivers to do when he was a quarterback.
How's the offensive line gelled and their experience after coming into this season?
Well, the offensive line, like I say, they have continued to get better and better. Like I say, coming into this last season, the opening press conference, we had 5 new ones. And now we've got 4 returning starters, and really Trevor Brown started the last game, or the one I think started the last game, or the next last game. He's got a couple of starts under his belt, and so he's had plenty of experience. So they have just gotten better and better. I think the biggest thing is not only just they're individually, they've gotten stronger and bigger, and they understanding how to play, but they practice together. Every day they practice together, because the offensive line, probably more than any other position on a football team, has to play as a group of 5. They have to coordinate their blocks together and work good together. And we've got a nice group of guys there, 3 seniors in the group, and a nice group of guys that are getting better and better together. And they've stayed healthy. Ritz missed a couple of days in preseason, but got back out there. They've stayed fairly healthy.
The last time we spoke, you mentioned how close the cornerbacks were competition-wise. How did you ultimately decide who starts and who, them being that close?
Well, I think Otis Mounds, our defensive cornerback coach, when I let him make that decision. I think I watch him every day, and man, I say, God, it's just there's 4 pretty good corners out there. But I let Otis, as the coach of that position, name the ones he feels like will be starting. Now, because we could be a nickel or dime package, and 3 of them could play a whole game. 3 of them could start at any time, because I don't think we list our nickel package or our dime package, which might be a cornerback. You got Jordan George, who started at safety for us until he got hurt last year, and so he was a starter. So he's over there. But you got Darian Daly and Kyron Brown, and then the big surprise I think has been Denzel Butler, and I've called him Denzel Washington almost the entire preseason, which I guess is not a bad thing to call somebody. But Denzel Butler has done a really good job. He's been surprised, because he walked on here I think transferred from West Virginia, I think.
West Virginia.
But he, West Virginia Wesleyan, I mean. That's a big difference, because
Yeah, that's a big
I coached
difference.
against West Virginia Wesleyan in West Virginia. But his brother's an NFL player. He's got some good bloodlines. His brother plays in the NFL, and he's an outstanding talent. But I think Otis probably feels it's pretty close. He could have started one or the other, and talks highly. But I'll let him make that decision about which ones he feels need to start the game.
You've
Moving
got
on to
three,
Penn.
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
you've got three true freshmen listed in the depth chart. Any other freshmen coming on?
Which one did we list? Again,
You got Dylan Meeks as a tight
Dylan
end.
Meeks, we moved him to tight just to give us depth there, blocking depth. There, he's a defense. He was a defensive. He played some tight end in high school. He's got a great motor, and so Dylan Meeks gives us some depth behind Newman Williams and Brandon Junk.
Yeah.
There, he gives us some depth there. Because Kobe Bryant's another one we're hoping to bring along too at that position as one of Kobe Booker. I say Kobe Bryant. We don't want to bring Kobe Bryant on too much. We want to bring Kobe Booker
Yeah, he went to
along
college.
there too, as well as Long. But I think Meeks gives us that one. We've got Dre Williams and Burkhart at the wide receiver positions, and I think the defensively, the two deep roster has been pretty solid with veterans.
Other than health, what are you looking to get most out of this game against Penn State?
No, I mean, you're wanting to go out there and play your best football and have a chance to win a football game. You don't know what's going to happen in these games, because you go out there and you almost beat one team. You play Michigan; they're coming off 11-1 season. I think they might have been 6-0 when we played them, and we almost beat them. We get waxed at Oklahoma. Penn State a couple of years ago, I think it was 14-3 right before the fourth quarter when they hit a 3rd and 22. They hit a first down pass, which kind of iced it for us. But you're still in the ball game, so our kids go out there and believe that if we play our best game and they turn the ball over, they don't play as good. That's the first objective, and I want that to be our objective, and it won't be the first time it happens. But I'm saying, but definitely, you said don't get people hurt, don't those kind of things. We don't have the depth that Penn State does. We're not going to put people quite as the level they have. We have some just as good, but our objective is to go out there and to play our best ball game and try to put ourselves in a position to win. But we know what we're dealing with. Big Ten champion. We're not dealing with a new coach that's taking over a program that he's having to rebuild. Big Ten champion. One of the top two Heisman candidates, the quarterback and the running back, who are Heisman contenders, and they're going to be able to put the ball in their hands. It's not like their Heisman or their number one player is a right guard, where you might say, well, that guy can't run too many touchdowns. But so it's a big task for us.
How gratifying is it to know that the few players I've talked to and mentioned Penn State to, there is a calm confidence. That's the best way I can put it.
Well,
They're not intimidated at all.
No, and again, I don't think that diminishes the fact that we have a great challenge for us. We're talking about a top 6th ranked team who had 9 straight wins before they lost that thriller, that great bowl game that they lost. But I think the fact that our seniors, guys like Tommy Woodson and many of our other guys, Zach Geiser and some of our guys have been around, and even our juniors, they've lined up against not just Power 5 conference teams, but top teams. I mean, Oklahoma was one of the top-ranked teams. Michigan was one of the top-ranked teams when we played them. They've lined up against some good. We haven't always beat them or played close, but we have some of them. So I think there's a sense that, hey, we've been there before. We're going to go in there and play our best and let the cards fall.
Can I ask about the offense? That I like to look at it a lot. Kicking game. You had O'Leary came on very strong last season. Again, with a year under his belt, you have more confidence in him when you have to use a field goal.
O'Leary had a great percentage. I want to say he was, I don't know, he was like 9 for 12 at one time. We didn't kick a lot of field goals.
No.
But we go for it a lot. But when he kicked them, he was pretty good.
I can answer that exactly.
What was he?
Because I wrote he was 10 for 11.
He was 10 for 11 this year.
He missed the last one.
Yeah, because he was. Now he wasn't kicking. We didn't try a lot of 50-yarders, but I'm saying when we allowed him to kick them, so he's become a very, very good kicker. And Gasser returning at punter. That's one of the other things too. We opened up last year with a new kicker, a new punter. this year their veterans coming back, and so that helps us out a good bit. But so O'Leary, we expect him to have a good year this year.
What about the return game now that JoJo is gone? Ken Coney?
Well, the punt game, A.J. Coney did it 2 years ago, and JoJo, that was his specialty. That was his specialty. He had 6 punt returns for touchdowns. But A.J. Coney is sure-handed, and we won't expect. Your goal is to fair catch it when it needs to be fair caught. Catch all of them that you can, and see if you can get a first down. That's kind of what you want to start with, and go from there. And then Van Edwards is our #1 kickoff return man. He was there last year, and we really like Deltron Sands, the running back, as another one back there. Looks really, really good. Deltron was one we recruited out of high school. Didn't get him. He went to Oregon State, I believe, and transferred back. He was one of the ones we recruited out of high school.
I know he's gone, but with respect to the punt return game, you're going to have to miss JoJo's willingness to take a gamble.
With JoJo, you hard to tell him to fair catch it, because when he doesn't, so many good things can happen. But I'm of the opinion that I don't worry about that. The room you're supposed to give a punt returner, and whether you give it to him or whether it's a penalty. I'm thinking punt return. If it's close, fair catch the ball. It's our ball. So I'm not interested in a lot of daredevil catches. I'm interested in catching the ball, not letting it hit the ground, and fair catch it. If we just don't let it hit the ground and fair catch them all, we'll usually be in pretty good shape.
How tough is it going to this first game, not really having any film to study of Penn State, what they look like this year?
You don't. That's always the case the first year. If you're playing Penn State, you're opened up with a VMI. You wonder what you wonder what the heck are they going to do differently and trick us. So Penn State, I'm sure they know what they're good at. There's going to be things we don't know, and I would hope it's some things that we worked on in the spring and the summer that they're not as familiar with. But we've got to go out there, and what you've got to do is go out there and don't give up a big play and don't turn the ball over, because then the game can get out of hand. But you give up a big plays, you turn the ball over, you don't do the fundamental things like that, good tackling. That's the most important thing, that you tackle well. Where they have so many good athletes, that you tackle well, you don't give up big plays, where they score quickly, and you don't turn the ball over to put them in good field position. That's the most important thing, because and if they put something in different, I'll be honest with you, they could play something different just to mess up Pitt next the second game. Who knows? Because I've been at Auburn playing schools, and I might play something entirely different the first game because of the second game. And I'm not that I'm saying Penn State would do that, but that I'm saying we could see different things.
What is Chuck telling that defense to emphasize when it comes to Saquon Barkley?
Chuck has wanted to have as much live. Every time we've gone against Chuck scrimmaging in preseason, we've had to put in our down the road back so he can not that they look like they're tailback, but he needs to tackle. So he's had a lot of tackling practice. That's going to be the critical thing, is that people tackle and they pursue the football so they'll have a chance to gain tackle. Because you've got to tackle well, and you've got to have more than one guy on the ball carrier to make sure you get people around him to bring him down. Because he had 194 yards against Southern Cal in his last game, on just a tad under 1,500 yards for the season. He's probably the best all-around back in the country.
Probably is. A couple of quick things. I won't take too long. On your depth chart defensively, 3 guys have risen. Bischoff, Reinke, Jamal Davis.
Bischoff, Reinke, and Jamal Davis. Those are all local guys, too.
I was going to say that.
All of them have great stories. Of course, Jamal Davis was a fairly big recruit who went to Pitt,
right,
and then transferred back, like Trevon. So he's back close to home now. And we've moved him to defensive end because he gives us some of that pass rush ability that we lost when we lost Jamal Marcus so early last year. But he gives us some good pass rushing ability. And he's kind of learning a new position, but he gives us some real athletic ability there. He's going to get better and better as the season goes along. Brian Rinke's been one of the great stories because he walked on out of Copley, probably 205 pounds when he got here, 6'3", 205. He's 6'4", 250. And he has a constant motor. He does play hard every snap, and he just got really good. I don't know if did you mention the other guys? Bischoff.
Well, I had mentioned Bischoff and then Junius.
He was a walk-on from St. V, and he rotates with Devontae Junius.
Right.
But Bischoff is a lot like, if you remember Dylan Evans.
Yeah.
He is a headsy player that is great in pass coverage. He plays that outside linebacker that if you don't want a nickel guy, he has great coverage. He's very, very smart. He plays with a lot of intelligence, and he's really gotten better as a tackler too, because he's not a big guy. That's why it reminds me of Dylan Evans, because Dylan Evans was our leading tackler his senior year, and he probably weighed 205 pounds. But he was always in the right place, and that's a great way to compare Nate Bischoff to him. But the fact that we have been very fortunate to get the local players to come here and just to continue to come here, because those are three local players that be big factors for us this year.
Not a lot of rule changes, but one involves the coaches.
The coaches on the sideline. I think it's going to be so interesting. The biggest one is that if you step on that field, if you step on the white, which is where you're not allowed to step, if you're criticizing an official, you're criticizing a call. If you're standing anywhere on that white, it's an automatic penalty. It's not a warning, it's an automatic penalty. Now, I've watched every game I've seen, and nobody has ever done that before. Now, if you step out, they can warn you, and you're not criticizing, and you just step out. They can penalize you, but they can warn you, but then they'll penalize you if you just step over onto the field. They've got coaches running on the field. You can't do that. They may warn you, but then it's a 5-yard penalty. So they're trying to do a great job of controlling the sideline totally. Now, it's funny because when we were at the Mad American Conference meetings, they showed us a highlight video of all the people that would be trouble this year, and they showed nothing but Nick Saban and Dabo Sweeney. And so you know what? So I'm going to watch I don't know what games are being played Thursday, but Florida State, Miami, Alabama.
No, that's Saturday.
That's Saturday. Okay, but I said you watch the
on
first
one
big
side
game.
and
We're going to
Saban
see
on the
how
other.
the officials are going to call it, because you can imagine when you only run out there when things get dicey, when things are big. I mean, you take a game, the last seconds of a game, and a coach. And it's not just a coach. What if you're mad? There's a lot of people that run around back and forth. In fact, when somebody intercepts a ball, you see 15 players run out a few yards out on the field. It's going to be a lot of breaking old historical traditional things on the sideline of just getting excited and running out on the side field and stuff like that. And that's why I think, first of all, just like officials, some people call it tight, some people call it close, and some guys call it loose. I'm anxious to see how these officials are going to do this, because to me, the biggest concern is going from week to week and getting a different approach to the sideline rule.
But you don't have to get a warning or anything.
You don't have to. If you criticize, you don't get a warning. If you're criticizing a call and you're on the field, they don't have to give you a warning at all. It's a penalty. In fact, they're not supposed to give you a warning. Personal foul.
I'll see. We'll see on that.
Again, I hope I don't do that, but I also hope Chuck doesn't. Chuck's calling my defense. He could do it, and
Well, you would do without even thinking about it. I mean,
we'll have to break some old habits, because again, these are things that.
Because that line is pretty wide.
It's like Major League Baseball. You see those coaches yell at the officials. There's some traditional things that would be hard to stop those guys every now and then. But anyway, it's the rule. There's that rule. Then also, if y'all are aware, the halftime rule is going to be interesting. They're trying to. That's one of the points of emphasis. The 20-minute halftime. Usually they'll just let you, as you come out, they'll just hold it till you get ready. That clock's going to start. When the first half is over, the 20-minute clock starts. And when that 20 minutes is over, the ball is teed up. You got 25 seconds to kick it off. Now, before, if you kind of eased on out, or the band stayed a little bit late, they weren't hard about it. But I think their attempts to keep the games under 3 hours and 20 minutes, I think it has a lot to do with TV games and TV games like that. In fact, I know it is, that they're going to call penalties immediately if you come out late. And so and if you're a coach, you know how hard that is, because people come out, they've never been really hard on that. They just kind of say, come on out, let's get started. But it's going to be a very hard time for everybody, a hard clock on everyone. And those are the two rules that I know that were emphasis to us. But that's just a procedural thing.
And then this is kind of a quick philosophical thing, but I was reading an article on Mike Jinks at Bowling Green.
Mike, yeah.
And of course, he came from Texas Tech.
Yeah.
And he says, after his year there, he goes, you know what? For schools like us, we don't need to throw the ball 65 times anymore.
For the what?
We don't need to throw the ball 65 times. He goes, 40 is more than enough. Okay?
Yeah.
And it looks like, we talk about Barkley, you know, we talk about throwing the ball all the time, but the running game is, I don't know, is it coming back? Your top teams run the ball a ton anyway.
Well, first of all, I think everything goes in cycles. I mean, all you gotta do is having been in this business. I know my first year as a head coach in 1983, for 15 years, we ran a tailback and a fullback in the I formation with the tight end. And that's all we did for 15 years. I made a good living in this business. Well, actually, it was about 12 years. The last 3, we got to pull wideouts and did that kind of stuff too. So I think things go in cycles. But I know that if I was at a school that had all the best tackles, guards, centers, tight ends, I would run that ball down people's throat. If I was at a place, and that's why you see the top 5 teams almost always they don't get out of that, because that's the best. If you don't have better people in their position, sometimes the equalizer is spreading out and throwing it and moving fast and things like this. And there's a lot of good teams that do that, but most of your power teams that recruit the top players year in and year out, they don't get too far away from whipping you at every position, and that's done with the running game. Penn State traditionally had that type of team. Ohio State, and teams that can, Southern Cal, Alabama, But there are teams like Clemson that have great talent that spread it out and throw it a heap of times too. But I think I wouldn't be shocked if things don't come around a little bit more with a running attack, a little bit more.
Any other questions?
Good.
Great.
Give you an example. It was 4 wideouts a lot. Now almost everybody plays with only 3 and a tight end. Anytime you have a tight end, he can catch the football, but because he's inside of the defender, anytime you line somebody up closer to the ball than the defender, that's an advantage to the run. When you line a guy further away from the ball than the defender that he's over,
right.
that's for the pass, because you can't block him as well.
Right.
So that's kind of a rule of thumb, and most all people are going to putting tight ends back in
Tight ends
their
back in,
package.
yeah.
Tight ends, H-backs, whatever you call them.
Yeah.
How much work does Woodson's timing need? Or is he
He's
there?
really, he's really come on. I don't imagine. I don't know if he's as sharp as he was when we think back to before he got hurt back against Marshall when he was really before he hurt his Ball State. He came back, but that was a hot day. He was able to throw that day, but he couldn't throw the 2 weeks before that. So that was an unbelievable game. But I think back, so he seems to be there because he's really throwing the ball well. But there may be some getting back to be where he was before, but I haven't noticed it. I haven't noticed there be any difference right now. I just, I like the fact that we got some guys out there that if something were to happen, I've got some guys that have done a great job of running our offense.
Last year, at this time, we had the tremendous heat. This year, it's been pretty normal for Northeast Ohio. Is that going to be an advantage to keep everybody fresh as we go along?
The fact that we don't have 2-a-days anymore, I don't know that we ever over practiced them.
Yeah.
They got tired monotonous a little bit because over and over again. But they got plenty of rest every day. Now it wasn't too hot either. Doesn't mean we're not going to have some heat left over because you can get some fall heat. And down in Troy, we'll probably get some heat down in Alabama. But I don't think it's expected to be too hot on Saturday at Penn State. So we can, and I think our home game's in the evening. I think 6 o'clock game.
Yeah.
So we will we'll see how it goes.